Welcome back to the Lemon Factor. I'm Chad, and today we are going to set up the 5 LED lights that can be found at the top of the KTUNER V2 5-inch touch display. Let's jump to the KTUNER website. I'd like to show you that there is some basic information already available from KTUNER. And go under Support, under Online Help. It'll take you to the help page, and if you go to the left column and click on KTUNER Flash V2 Touch, maybe a third down the list, you'll see here KTUNER Flash V2 LED Setup. Click on that. KTUNER will provide you with some basic information. Now, I will tell you that this was not totally self-explanatory, at least not for me. That initially I did run into some trouble. As I've mentioned in my last video, I'm new to KTUNER. I am by no means an expert, and I am learning this as I go along. You can have these lights light up different colors at different times based on the criteria that you put in. I've seen to be very common is people use these lights to light up based on RPMs, almost as a shift light. And I will use that as our first example. I'll give you 2 examples, and then we'll go to the car and I'll take you for a drive and we'll see how it works. So the first thing you want to do is open up the KTUNER software on your PC, laptop, or tablet. Once you have it opened up, you need to plug in your version 2 touch display with the included USB cable. Once you've done that, up at the top towards the left, you'll see this little icon light up, LED setup. It will not light up, it won't give you the ability to click on it until the display is actually hooked up via the USB. Once it is, click on that, and that brings up the main screen. This is where you will set up your 5 LED lights. First thing I want to point out is you have the ability to save 2 sets of parameters within the display itself, so that once they're saved, you go out to your car. On the fly, within your car, you can switch between these 2. However, you can set up numerous additional files for this and save it to your hard drive and recall them and save them to either set 1 or set 2 at a later date. So select set 1 or set 2. So we have set 1 here. First thing to do is under Settings, under Type, decide which of the 6 outputs you would like to correlate to the 5 LEDs. As I mentioned for our first example, I'm going to use RPM, and I'm going to disregard this for just a moment. And I'm going to jump over to the right here. Over to the right, you set the starting value for the light to start coming on, and that's what this is. There's 5 lights, and you have to set this for each one of the 5 lights. So you click here on the first light. I wish it would give you some indication that somewhere it would read LED 1, and then you click here LED 2, etc., all the way to LED 5. It doesn't do that. So let's start with the first one, and you just have to know that this is LED 1, and I'll show you by clicking on the other LEDs that there is a difference here. So this is LED 1, here's LED 2, 3, 4, 5. LED number 1 will start to come on, the light will start to come on at 2,000 RPMs with an intensity of 20. So this, you can scroll back and forth, or you can click on it and use the right and left arrow keys. This will go all the way up to an intensity of 100. And that intensity is correlating to the color. So you can click on the color, it brings up a whole box of all sorts of colors you can choose from. It'll start lighting up green at this intensity level at 2,000 RPMs, and it will continue to get brighter and brighter up to 100% intensity, and I'm using the same green color, it'll just get brighter, up to 6,800 RPMs. Put the ending value, if you're doing the RPMs, as your red line. I'm going to disregard the warning value just for a moment. So these two relate to one another, the warning type and the warning value. So I'll get back to that in a minute. So we've now set our first LED, the second LED, exact same way. So I have it as a brighter green to start off with, 20%, going up to 100%. And this second LED starts to come on at 3,000 RPMs and will continue to brighten up to 6,800 RPMs. LED number 3, so the one in the middle, will then light up as yellow, again increasing in intensity, but starting to come on at 4,000 RPMs. LED number 4 will be orange, increasing in intensity, starting at 5,000 RPMs. And then lastly, the last LED, LED number 5, will come on at 6,000 RPMs with a red color. So that is how you set each one of these LEDs. When you want it to start coming on, what color, what intensity level of the color, and how long or when you want it to continue to stay on until. Now let's go back and take a look at warning type. So the warning type is you could set a warning, quote, for your value, and the warning will flash your either the one LED or all of the LEDs based on the input you define. You can put in either above or below or disable it and have no warning, whatever. But I put in above the threshold. So the warning light will come in at above the threshold, and the threshold I set was 6,300 RPMs. At an intensity level of 100, this first LED will be red. I've set up the second one to be the exact same, the third, the fourth, and the fifth. So what's going to happen is these LEDs will light up light green, dark green, yellow, orange, and red up to 63. And when my tachometer hits 6,300 RPMs, all of these lights will then light up a bright red and they will flash. Now, if you only want the last one to light up and flash red, you would only set it for LED number 5 and you would remove it for LED 4, 3, 2, and 1. That if you are using this for a shift point light, please make sure that you set your lights to go off, providing you enough time to actually shift. So I don't know if it would be 500 RPMs earlier or not, but just keep that in mind that if this is what you're going to use to know when to shift, you should do it sooner than the actual RPM you want to shift at so that you don't exceed that RPM. As you go through each LED and you do your settings, make sure you hit save. Go to the second one, make your settings, hit save, third, save, etc., etc. Once you've gone through all 5, you've hit saved, you've done your warning type, I recommend you save the LED set down to your computer. The second example I'm going to show you, set number 2 that I have loaded, I have this based on VSS, the Vehicle Speed Sensor. So this will light up the LED lights based on your vehicle speed. And the reason why I did this is if I'm conducting 0 to 60 tests and I'm on a road, I'd like some visual indication to see how I'm progressing from 0 to 60. And once I hit 60 miles per hour, to know clearly that I've hit 60 so that I can back off. I changed the setting type to VSS, Vehicle Speed Sensor. You go through each one of the LEDs. So the first one I've set to 20, which means that first LED will come on at 20 miles per hour and will continue to brighten from an intensity of 25 to an intensity of 100 with a green color all the way up to 60 miles per hour. Number 2, I set the same parameters and it's still at the 20 miles per hour. So it's just quickly giving me as soon as I hit 20, both of these will light up. For the third LED, at 30 miles per hour, this middle LED light will light up yellow. At 40 miles per hour, the fourth LED light will light up an orange. And then lastly, at 50 miles per hour, it is going to, the fifth one will light up red, and this will indicate I'm almost at 60 miles per hour. Now, as soon as I hit 60, I'm going to go back to the first LED. You'll see down here that I put a warning type of above threshold, and the threshold I set was 60. So when it hits above 60 miles per hour with an intensity of 100 in a color of red, the first LED, the second LED, the third, fourth, and fifth, because the settings are all exactly the same, as soon as I exceed 60 miles per hour, all these lights will light up a bright red and start flashing, indicating to me I've hit my target speed. So it's as easy as that. Just make sure you're clicking on each one of the LEDs and setting them individually. As you click on each one, make sure you save them down individually. And when you're finally all done with the settings, make sure you save it. Make sure you save it on your hard drive and make sure you save it again to your KTUNER. Why don't we jump into the car and I'll show you exactly what this looks like. Once you've started your car and your display is up and running, tap on the screen, go to LEDs at the top right. So we've set number 1, we have a set for number 2. Our number 1 is our RPM, number 2 is our vehicle speed. Let's test out the RPMs first. So just press on LED number 1 and we'll go back. And I'll just rev it a little bit here. So as you can see, we start going through the RPM band and they will start to light up. But let's take it out on the road. I am going to switch this to LED setting 2. So that is our speed. Remember, I set these up for 0 to 60 runs, so I can see once I've hit 60, I can back off.